Hello, good evening, happy weekend. Wow, today, the 4th of December, we have a very interesting topic to talk about today. Are you ready to gain knowledge? You know, knowledge is wealth. What does the Bible say? My people perish because of lack of knowledge. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Permit me share on my timeline as you invite more people, because it's gonna be a powerful session. Trust me. We are going to be talking about God, science, and depression. God, science, and depression. Many out there have different ways of defining God. Many out there have different ways of looking at science. Many out there have different ways of evaluating depression. And behold, if we look at things, a lot is happening out there, especially with COVID. A lot is happening. People are depressed, whether we accept it or not. Some of them are ignorantly suffering from depression without even knowing. But today, we have an outstanding personality, Dr. Robert. He's a doctor, a chemist. He has been there for 2 decades. He has experience in scientific things. He has been working as a scientist for 20 years. He will be giving us deep insight. So share this broadcast if you want to empower a soul. Many are lost out there because of lack of knowledge. That is why Healing StoreHouse, one of our greatest goal is for people to be aware of things. Let me share it on my timeline and do a favor to indicate where you're watching from. It will be good for us to know where you're watching from, and also to invite someone. Just invite before I invite our guest of honor today. Just invite as I quickly share on my timeline. Do your own part by empowering souls. And that can only be done by you inviting someone. You will not regret this powerful session today. Share. Share and empower a soul. Share to groups. Share and empower. Share and empower somebody. Share, it's gonna be a powerful session. Share before our guest of honor gets connected. Before our guests of honor get connected, just share and invite someone. It's gonna be powerful. It's gonna really be a powerful one. Can you just do a favor by sharing so that people will be empowered in the name of Jesus? Can you share and empower a soul? Share. It's gonna be a powerful session. So share. If you can share, that's gonna be fine. Share and invite. Share, empower a soul. Share, please. As I'm trying to connect to other places so that many benefit from these live events. So if you can quickly share. Yes, share and invite someone. Share and invite someone. God is faithful. He is so faithful. He's faithful to fail us. He's faithful indeed to disappoint us. He is faithful indeed. So let's do a favor by sharing as I invite Dr. Robert now into the broadcast. It's gonna be deep. It's really gonna be deep. it's gonna be deep. So interesting topic. Science, God, science, and depression. God, science, and depression. I'll quickly, it's really quite a lot to do. So I'll invite Dr. Robert right now to the studio. Stay connected, please. Stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. Wow. Good evening. It's quite early in Dr. Robert's end. In the US, it's 9 a.m. But here in Finland, it's already 6 p.m. Can imagine time difference. It's a huge time difference, but wow, what an awesome session today. Myself, I'm really eager to learn a lot. I know I'm gonna learn a lot from you. That I am very confident today. I'm gonna learn a lot from you, and I am willing to learn. Can you, those watching, if you're watching, just quickly indicate where you're watching from, invite a friend, share it on your timeline, share it in different groups, and empower souls. And I will just quickly ask Dr. Robert to introduce himself because I don't want to leave out some part of him. You know, when you're doing it yourself, it's quite different. So I give the floor to Dr. Robert. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Coach Marie. It's my pleasure to be with you and your guests and the people that are watching. I'm so honored to be part of your show. I am Dr. Robert KARGBO. I am based in California, in Grover Beach. I work for USUNA Institute. We are looking at addressing depression, and we are right now in phase 2 clinical trials. So my role is a CMC project lead. I supervise our CMC team and also a non-clinical. But I'm here as an individual, not on behalf of USUNA. So I just want to make that clear. What I'm going to share with you is based on my own perspective and does not represent my company, which I am dearly protecting in terms of making sure I represent myself and not my company. I've been doing drug discovery for the close to 2 decades now, as Coach Marie indicated, and I've looked at various aspects of drug discovery. I've looked at various disease process, not only depression, but also cardiovascular, metabolic fibrosis, immunology, inflammatory diseases, respiratory oncology, and neuroinflammatory diseases, in which, talk about Parkinson, Alzheimer's. So there's a whole range of disease process that I've been exposed to and I've dealt with in one way or the other in my career. And today, for the topic that we have in hand, God, science, and depression, so I'm just going to be focusing mainly on depression and talk about how that is connected to science and how that also is connected to God.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. Hey, sorry, Dr. Robert. Dr. Francis has taken my mind. Somebody you give accountability to. He was my book coach, and all of us, even Dr. Robert, we are in the same expert coach program. So, and both of you are doctors. So, oh my goodness. But thank you so much, Dr. Robert, for that powerful introduction. And we are just going to flow with some questions. I'm really eager to understand in depth of some things, and we'll just go straight away to some questions I have for you so that you give your own views to the audience, and I will ask our audience to ask questions also along the line. Ask questions. Clarity is very important. If you don't ask questions, you will not get clarity. As we said, the topic is God, science, and depression. And they are all technical things the world need today. So share this broadcast. As we go straight to some few questions, we formatted. I'm gonna just start and roll from there. But questions are welcome from audience. As questions come, we'll just interlock it as it flows. But thank you all for watching wherever you are. We are really blessed to have you. My first question to Dr. Robert: how have you experienced God, science, and depression in the past? What are the definition of this concept based on your background? That's my first question to you, Dr. Robert.
Thank you, Coach Marie. This is a very loaded question. It's a very powerful question. So let's start with the most difficult one, which is, God. Many people have a different perspective as to what God is. Some people see him as a creator. Some people see him as omniscience, omnipresence. Some people see God as multiple gods. They have God of stone, God of iron, God of wood. So there's so much misconception as to what God is. In my own mind, when I connect science and God, I'm really very hesitant to even call the name, because I recognize in my eyes how tremendously powerful he is. And so the way how people connect God in their own lives, it makes me wonder whether they're really talking about the God of science or not. Because to really begin to understand what that is, for me, I would say maybe we take it from we look at it from a different level. First of all, let's try to understand what nature is. If we don't understand nature, then how can we understand God? Yes, we might have different perspective based on what we are told. It is not what we found God to be, it's what we are told, and then we tend to believe that. But science is not just believing, it gives you the facts. It shows you the information and all of the supporting data that really comes to reveal that fact. And so there is this absence of facts as we describe God, but that should not be the case. It should not be the case at all when it is well understood from a natural point of view. So to really begin to address that issue is to come back and understand nature, and how nature displays so much wisdom and strength and power. And when we don't fully grasp the meaning, so what that leads to is that we make up our own stories. We make up our own idea as to what we think things are. And so what may happen is those ideas locked us in terms of how our brain function. We just locked into our own idea, into our own wall, and where we may not have the ability to connect to the outside environment, connect to people, connect or interact with people in such a way that brings the good and best in us. And so we might not be feeling very okay. And in that situation, we might become depressed. So depression also have different forms. There are times when feeling that unhappiness, feeling trapped in your own world and in your mind, and we may not have the ability to connect in a way that is amicable to others, gets us lonely, get us deprived of the amenities of life, get us the difficult interactions, such that we don't even are not able to enjoy or even understand nature, neither one another. There are times also that state of mind may be transferred to us, in which genetically you might be prone towards depression. There are some people that are prone, that there might be biomarkers that really can give that indication. And that is why you might see someone within their own family setup They are used to a particular state of life in which they might be very depressed, in a state of depression. And so makes it really very difficult. So how do you know that the depression you're having is not transferred from a previous generation to your own generation? And it's a subject that is really being researched presently. The other aspect too that I will say is whatever I may have learned or understand may not be sufficient to describe who God is or understand entirely how nature operates. So there is some limitation as to what we know with all of this definition.
Wow. 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 Thanks so much, Dr. Robert, for that in-depth clarity. And I totally agree with you because people have different ways of labeling and describing God. But I personally, I think you can be able to differentiate and describe Him in context with the relationship you have. As you develop and get deeper, you discover Him more. As you develop that relationship with Him, that's from my own personal experience. I am discovering Him more and more as I go deeper in searching, in knowing, as I go deeper in His Word, as I commune with Him more, I discover Him more clearer every day. I would say, like, I have personally Christian background, but when I was a child, up till grown up, university, I would say I was just following my parents until I got to maturity because it was a must. But I had not developed an intimate relationship with God. My journey that I can say I got a revelation of God was when I grew up, when I was in Finland, 2011, where I had an encounter with Him. That is when I can say that's my journey with God. It began there. And at that level, I was a baby Christian. And I kept on learning, connecting to Him more and more, which the more I connect, the more I discover. The more I connect, the more I discover. The more I connect, the more it takes me deeper and deeper, which today has folded with the result of Healing Storehouse, Unlocking Soul Gate book. It's all about lifestyle, connectivity, revelation, and clarity of who that God is. And the most important thing as to what I wrote in that book, which was just published 3 days ago on Amazon, I came to discover the initial foundational concept of healing, which begins from the spirit, soul, and to our body influence. And that book really, my focus was on those with anxiety, those with panic attack and depression, and how people can be healed. That has been from that relationship I developed 2011, whereby the Lord gave me clarity by 2014, which began from my thesis, now has ended up to the vision of Healing Storehouse, and today, proudly a publisher on that vision. So it's a whole lot of experience, and I totally agree with what you just said. I am with that. Thank you so much. It will take us to another dimension of some questions that I want you to unfold to our audience. Please share the broadcast, share it on your timeline, invite friends. There is a lot to learn today, a lot of it. It takes me to the other aspect. What are the practical ways to approach depression? And what are the missing link in treating depression? Maybe we handle the first two, then I move on to the other two. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Robert.
you very much. These are very loaded questions. And so to start with the first one, right, practical ways to approach depression. So I just want to come back to the definition that I once shared, um, on which we look at God based on what we have been told, and sometimes we begin to discover Him based on some kind, as you and I rightly explained, some kind of encounter we may have. Now, if I step back and look at how much of what we understand, look at it from that perspective. Everything that we know so far, if you look at the past 200 years or so, that's when really modernization began, and it started, and up to now has continued to evolve. We've known so much over the past 100+ years, okay? So now we have this wealth of knowledge and understanding. If we compare that wealth and understanding and knowledge, if we compare, take all the technological development, take all the scientific know-how that we have currently, take all of the powerful connectivity we have on the internet, see how many apps there are that exist. Put all of that together. And then we ask ourselves, we've spent 200 years understanding that whatever idea or concept or encounter, whatever we may have, it's had occurred only this time frame. But we know nature existed way earlier than that. 4+ something billion years. The fraction of 200 years to 4 billion years, it's really is 200 years, very minute, very small time frame. This is what, in my own mind, scares me, because we may have defined what we know. We may have defined what we experience based on this very little time frame. And when you look at how we move forward, we use this little time frame to move forward. A lot of the time, without recognizing, it's a very small, minute part of knowledge. What do I mean by in explaining this in a different way? I remember growing up and studying science. There were many scientific laws that I memorized, many things that I utilized during those times. But as science evolved, I recognized some of those things were not correct. They were not absolutely correct. Even at that time, we were 100% sure they were correct. But it turns out they were not so. So the possibility that we allow our minds to evolve is really important, because nature will not just reveal himself completely to us, because we may not have the capability to absorb all of that knowledge. So the ability to open up, and that's what really are one of the ways of approaching depression, because we have been trapped in our own cycle of thought process, but recognizing that may just be very limiting, and allowing and opening up of those neural pathways that we have developed in our minds It's one critical aspect of treating depression. There are times we may also need to recognize we don't have all of the capability, all of the understanding, in which we may have to look for outside help that are trusted and that we may have investigated and come to trust as to whether those solutions that are provided might be worth pursuing. So it's got to look at we got to look at it from that perspective, and then we might begin to open up the different aspects of seeking for help. There are psychiatrists that are out there. There are people that out there that might be helpful, but it's also important to also know that nature made you for a particular purpose. We might be trapped in this set of ideas, most likely because those set of ideas are not aligned to the purpose that we have been made or created for. Once that misalignment is there, it becomes very difficult to really see purpose in life. We might be doing stuff and just doing, but we are not aligned in our mind. That satisfaction is not there. Other people may make us discouraged very easily. We might be just trapped. So that missing link is getting towards that missing link as to who we are and believing that we are made for a purpose. There is no way any human being wasn't made without a purpose. Impossible. But the various stories we've accumulated over the years in our lives may be obscuring us from aligning to that purpose that we are made for.
Wow. Dr. Robert, you are talking, I am connecting to the book I wrote. It's just been published and you already ordered it. And because especially some people just had the paperback of recent, but most for the e-version has not come out. But actually what you're saying were those revelations the Lord revealed to me. As I earlier just mentioned, if the spiritual aspect is not being handled, it influences the mind. And the mind impacts our body actions through emotions, stress, depression, and those kind of things. So I am so super excited because what you're talking is just like we had a conversation with you. And that takes me to that connection because God's spirit is one. And if we are connected to the right one, it gives us right revelation of everything. Because it's one spirit. It's one spirit that connects with all human beings. And if he's given a revelation, the truth will be revealed to those who seek him in truth. And there will not be like differences in that. So you are just talking, it's just a reflect of what I was writing in that book, Healing StoreHouse, Unlocking Soul Gate. A lot of connectivity is in what you're saying, because I'm so excited because the topic is on depression, science, and God. And it's just a link to what I had on like unlocking the soul gates, which entails healing from the spirit, soul, and body. I totally and absolutely 100% agree with everything you just said. It's just giving me like a flashback of what I wrote in the book. Thank you so much for that in-depth clarity. And this just gives that notion of when God revealed the truth, it is the truth. And he's not revealing different things to different people because it's one spirit. So the spirit will reveal the truth to all who are connected to that spirit. Thank you so much. Wow, that was deep. Myself, I will need a replay of this to grab more because I like to learn. I am a fast learner and I love learning more. And you, as an expert in the area of science, myself, I would say in the area of spirituality, I get some knowledge through my relationship with God. And in the area of science, you are an expert, and also in the area of God, you are a believer also. So just imagine the connectivity, all of it. So I'm ready to learn more from you, Doctor. It takes me now to the fourth and fifth question. How is depression connected to science and God? Why are so many people not getting help today? Thank you, Doctor.
Wow. These are all very loaded questions. So,
Yeah.
in terms of, I indicated earlier that I'm so hesitant to even call the name because of so many misconceptions that is out there. Because when I said God did this, God did that, some people will have a different perspective as to what I'm talking about. So I tend to step back and say, okay, nature. What does nature says about science, and how is that connected to depression? Some people might say what we are talking about right now is just, just psychology, just talk, talk, talk. But what they may not realize, whatever I'm saying is really backed by scientific facts. There are many misconceptions that we may have had in the past, and only for the scientific data to come out and then we realize, oh, this is scientific. But at the time when it was being talked about, the data wasn't there. Like people were saying the earth was flat, and people even were fighting, even kill one another, saying it's not true. And that it was just philosophy. And then when the data comes and realize, oh no, this is not just philosophy, this is actual science. That is true. The world is not flat, it's round. So where am I going with this? When I talk about being trapped in our own mind and in our own understanding, we might say, "Oh, but this is just talk." So here's there are just four key chemicals in our brain that really operates how our mood and how our emotions and how we feel for one another, how we connect with one person or the other. And this, obviously, that's what science have been looking at for a very long time. And that's understanding those neural pathways, those chemicals have really helped us to come and develop medications as to how the brain interacts with those chemicals. For example, what controls our mood, our emotions, and you're feeling happy, you're feeling sad. Again, check those four different hormones. And we may have heard about them: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin. So like serotonin, it's one that helps you connect with people in terms of, your relationship. When that hormone level is low, then you lose certain connectivity. If you want to be excited of something, you get your dopamine level up, you become excited. So the regulations of those different hormones really helps to guide our mood. But it's such a complex phenomenon that really happens in our brains. And it makes it so difficult when we have external stimuli, like people that may not be happy with what we are doing and are opposing everything that we do. or we may not see all the path that we need to follow in order to be successful. And so whenever we look around, we just see so much problem, so many barriers, and even people creating barriers ahead of us. So that may tend to hold us back. That may tend to keep us in this very tight corner of space without recognizing our ability beyond that small sphere of space or understanding we may have. People may be looking for help. People may be asking for help. But there is that hesitancy because everyone is throwing out help one way or the other. And that really gets people confused because people may say, oh, I am the only one that have the solution. And for me, I just want to give that disclaimer. I don't have a solution for anyone. However, I share a perspective that I will say, consider this. Because while you were made, while you were created, there is a reason. If you are able to connect to that, you may have all the solution around you already. But just that we are not able to look at it from that perspective. And so we run helter-skelter from one place to the other. And this is why you're seeing a lot of openings, door of doors, saying, come, I'm going to be the only one that gives you the solution. Come this way, I'm going to be the only one that helps you. But remember, again, 200 years compared to 4 billion years, which knowledge are you going to rely on? Are you going to rely on the 200 years of knowledge? Or are you going to rely on the 4 billion years of knowledge, wealth, and wisdom that always have been there, waiting for us to explore?
Wow. Wow. I love that. I really love what you just said. May God give us enlightenment. May we be enlightened and get the truth. That is my desire. And I thank you, Dr. Robert, for standing up to review your personal experience through scientific discovery, through your relationship with God, and for taking the step to enlighten and empower souls out there. Thank you for sacrificing your time. Thank you for this great step. Because the teaching today can save a soul if they only connect to the truth and apply it. I really thank God for your sacrifice. It's quite early where you are in Arizona. It's quite early. But thank you for taking your morning, your breakfast time to empower the world. I don't want to take much of your time the whole day because it's been a busy day. I just imagine we had a meeting before this session. So we will just quickly go to the 6th and 7th question I have for you. It's quite deep. So I will encourage those who are logging in to go for a replay because for you to understand, you need to connect from the beginning. So the next thing, why are people not getting help? That was the last question I asked. Now it takes me now to what are practical steps that every individual can take to free themselves from depression? And secondly, you can handle, are religious people depressed? That's interesting. Very interesting, Doc. Can you just give us clarity on the practical steps that individual needs to take to be free from depression? Because many people don't speak about it, but they are depressed. That's the truth. They are depressed. That's the bitter truth, whether they accept it or not. So And some people are shy to speak it because of the pain they are, the darkness in which they are. So, to you, what are those practical steps that every individual can take to free themselves from depression? And are religious people depressed? I love that. Thank you, Doctor.
Very interesting question. Thanks for asking. So
Yeah.
I may start probably with question one, which is very straightforward, and the answer is a resounding yes. In fact, um, religious people might be they might be the most depressed in certain situations, and the reason for that is it's very simple. Um, People may not discover nature and try to understand nature for themselves. What they'll do is receive information. Just imagine, since when we were born up to now, what we've been doing, receiving information, receiving information. But how much time have we really spent to connect with that information based on who we are as a human being, not what we are told, based on who we are? And there's so much information that we have connected to that have getting us trapped in a particular way of thinking. Why do we see so many religious organizations are not working hand in hand? Why? Is God different? Is he not saying the same thing to the same people? The problem is because individually or as a group, we are trapped in our own understanding and wisdom, what we think is moral from what we think is not moral. For example, there's let's just take it practically. I may say, I am doing this particular lifestyle, and this other person is doing this lifestyle that is not good, that I consider not good at all. So I may judge them based on what I think may be right or wrong. And I will continue in that path. So what I'm going to do is avoid completely the other person that isn't following my own path. I am the one making that judge with my own limited understanding. How do I know that that individual in few years from now will not completely change and be transformed? How do I know that? But I keep that in my mind as the way I understand it. We might see this individual prospering and we are not prospering. That might create some kind of difficulty in our minds. It's like, but I'm doing all the right thing. And this individual who is not doing the correct thing is prospering. But why are things not working for me? Why am I continuously being poor? Why are the rich getting richer? But I am, as someone who does follow certain rules and regulation, things are not working out for me. Without recognizing, we just need to back off of what we think about what is the absolute right or wrong and reevaluate that. Is it what nature is really asking you to think about based on who you are, why you were created, why you exist on earth? Did he make you to be a judge, to be judging everything else around you? That doesn't leave room for you to discover who you are. You are just going to constantly be focusing on the outside without focusing on what is in there in the inside. And you might be connecting to a perspective that is not fulfilling your own dream. And that is why you see you're picking up the dysfunction, you're picking up the annoyance, you're picking up the angriness, because once you are connected with him, no matter what is happening outside, you're going to have that peace of mind that is beyond wisdom and understanding. You're going to have that connectivity that no one else will understand what you are, what you are being driven by from the inside.
Wow. 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 That's deep. That's deep, Doc. That's deep. I really need to sit and digest it. It's so deep. And that is the mistake many of us fall into. We judge. We judge without knowing the truth. We judge from the outward experiences, outward appearance. We judge. And only God knows the inside and knows the truth. May God empower us. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. Thank you for that great insight. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know whether you still have more to dish out on that, or you want to handle religious people depressed. That one, it's quite interesting.
Yes, so that was the question I answered first. That
Yes.
yes, they are
Yeah.
completely depressed because they are trapped in their own wisdom, in their own understanding. Just
Yeah.
think about it again. Do the maths. Let's do the calculation. 200 years of modernization. How do
Yeah.
you compare 200 years to 2 billion years? All of the things that you have now, we've now taken to say this is the absolute fact. Wait, if we put this in perspective, okay, let's say
Yeah.
you send our child to school, and the child come with a report card and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the report card, this child scores 5%.
Yeah.
What are you going to do as a parent? You're going to be so discouraged because it's like your child really knows very little of the subject matter, correct?
Absolutely.
It's no different. Take 200 years to be that 5%. The
Yeah.
95%, we have no idea what it is. And
That's
yet we use the 5% to make all the rules. How are we absolutely sure that these rules are correct in the first place? When the 95%, we have no idea what it is. So how can we be absolutely said, yes, and this is the reason of the confusion. Everyone have this 5%, and then they are, saying, yes, this is absolutely correct. It's like, but are you not going to be able to step back and just ask yourself in your mind, wow, how do I know I'm correct? And that's what we also do in science. We're never sure. It's like, how do you know you're correct? And because of this fact, okay, how do you know this fact was correct? And then
Yeah.
you go deeper and deeper and deeper until you go roundabout, and then you say, okay, I've done everything and it's pointing in this direction. But how much of that are we going to be able to do with just 5% of knowledge?
Wow.
How much are we going to be able to do in just 200 years of knowledge and understanding? How are we going to use 200 years to reevaluate the 4 billion years? Again, I already come back to this point over and over because it's such an important aspect. Why do we see so many interpretations of scriptures? Because people have different ideas and revelations and different things, correct? It exists out there. How do we know any of them is the absolute truth or the fact? I am, again, not here to tell anyone what to believe, what not to believe.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell anyone what to think on how not. No. But I'm just asking questions in my own mind. And even as I bring these questions that are all around us, for us just to think and just step back and ask ourselves these questions. Not that there is an absolute solutions that say, think this way, don't think that way. No, but these are questions that should allow us to step back and begin to think. Because for me, the key is to be able to understand and connect with nature. Again, 4 billion years plus billion years has so much wisdom and understanding. But if we use just these 200 years to evaluate that, it's too small.
Wow.
That is my main point. It's just too little to say you can evaluate completely and absolutely the 4 billion years that have existed all this while. It's only now we said, oh, we understand. Only now there is wisdom. Wait, before 200 years, were there not wisdom? Were there not understanding? Were there not power? Were there not omnipresence, where they are not omniscience, we are not there. It's
Mm,
only now I understand, or only now I can say, yes, it is. What has happened prior to that time? And so this is the reflection
mm,
that I'm getting at. If we're able to do that, so what it's doing, it's scientific. It's causing a physiological change in our brains. It's happening.
mm,
It's going to allow you to begin to connect certain regions in your brain that you were not connecting. So it's this, what I'm saying is not just theory. This is a very practical thing that I'm saying. So what will be helpful is those connections that you're beginning to, that's beginning to, and that is beginning to be made in your minds. Continue with those connections. Don't just drop them out. Don't just put them aside. Continue with those connections. They're going to lead you to a place that you look a month from now or a year from now, you realize, wow, there was a beginning. There was a journey that I started in
mhm.
thinking about a particular direction that
Yeah.
is gotten me to a completely different place and situation where I am now finding myself. I have zero doubt that that will not be the case. Again, it's just what it is. That's what it is.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert, for that clarity. Myself, I now get it clearer. Thank you for the clarification. I now really get it deeper and clearer. Yeah, I just want to take you to another aspect of it. What are the ways to identify depression? How can someone, because many people, as I earlier said, are depressed that they don't even know they are depressed. And from your own practical experience, what are the ways that we can identify that someone is depressed?
So I will just want to say a disclaimer. I'm not a psychiatrist to
Okay.
diagnose, someone who might be clinically depressed or not.
Yes.
I'm always speaking from my own perspective
Yeah.
and said, really, there are a lot of people that shy from visiting the doctor uh, for them to really diagnose them, whether they are clinically depressed or not. You know, if you look at the numbers actually for mental illness, which takes into account depression, major depressive disorder, treatment resistant disorder, or alcohol use disorder, and the rest. There are about 1 billion people worldwide that really suffers from all of that mental disorder. So it's a lot of people, but these are what have been clinically diagnosed. And so what happens when you visit the doctor? They go through metrics, go through questionnaires that they ask you, and filling those questionnaires, they'll be able to rate you as to what is your state of mind. Okay, so that is out there, and I will encourage anyone who doesn't feel really right and doesn't feel too well to really look and exploring that possibility. But the other aspect to it too is going to this aspect of who you are and why you were created and why you were made.
Yes.
I will find it very difficult that you were made to be depressed. That's not the reason we were made, or that's why we existed. So the question is, but if I am depressed, you will notice that you are not feeling happy. You're sad. You're
Yes.
constantly passing judgment on others, constantly passing you're so judgmental in every situation. You don't seem to be pleased with whatever solution that is out there. You don't
Yes.
seem to be pleased with whatever you are seeing around you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't seem to be getting along at all. You just you have a mind of your own, and someone is not able to interact with you, and you're not able to interact with people. Even the people that you tend to interact with don't are not happy at you, and you don't see that joy in you. You don't, in whatever in things that you do, you don't see it. That could give you an idea that yes, something is wrong. I need to really think through the way I'm approaching my life, the way I'm thinking about what I'm the goals in my life, and go internal and seek that reason why you ever had existed. If we do it that in sincerely, the difficulty, again, I try to emphasize this, the difficulty is all of the knowledge we've already accumulated. That sometimes could be the biggest barrier for us recognizing what solutions we need to take, because we've been told that this, and we are trapped in that knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and don't see a way out, untrusting to go beyond that level of understanding we have. So it's could be taken in a baby step manner. You know, I wouldn't
Yeah.
say just to go in from A to Z. No, at least just go in internal and begin to evaluate this. And maybe one way is just to go over these videos again, because there are so many concentrated information that I've really talked about, and I never had the opportunity to really expand on any one of these concepts. But
Yeah.
hopefully, we might be able to think through it. It's a manner of reflection and then think through it, and we might be able to see the necessary solutions. And for me, it's a very practical what I'm talking about, because I've been there. I've been in the situations where I never had the opportunity of growing up with parents that were really guiding me or directing me at all, and so I never had even books to study. You know, I was doing science, but don't have the books, the necessary textbooks. But I recall one thing that really was very helpful is my why am I here on this? Or why do I even exist? And so I went in internal. I was reflecting every day as to everything that happened in my life every day, and recalling all of the information and things that were not going correctly. I would take note of them. And then the following day, I will practice as to how to adjust myself and connect with people that are out there, recognizing, and that's what is one of the key elements, that everyone that is in this globe has one thing or the other that connects us. If you look for it, it is there. No matter how difficult or how mean the person you may have judged him to be, there are things that connect us together. What connects us together is way more powerful than what divides us. And that's another problem, because we assume that what divides us is so powerful more than what connects us. And I will defy that it is not true. It is the way we may have been looking at it. What keeps us together is way more powerful than what divides us. Again, this is loaded. It's just going to take time for us to go back and think through it. And I'm 100% sure you're going to come with that same conclusion, because that was the thing that really helped me in my childhood when I had nothing, no one. I said there was something that connects us if we can look for it. And sure and behold, I met people in my life that really directed me from nowhere when we're able to make those connections. So we might be in depressed state, we might be poor. No, it is the way we may have defined poverty. Poverty is the inability for us to connect with ourselves and with others. So just imagine someone may have the information that will take you from point A to point Z,
Yeah.
but connecting with that individual, what we may have accumulated could just be that barrier that
Mm-hmm.
connect us to that individual, because you might be looking at that individual, he doesn't fit my profile, he doesn't fit this, he doesn't fit that, and yet that individual may be the one that takes you from point A to point B.
My goodness. Doc, the knowledge you're giving here, it's like you are just presenting my book, because those who read the book, they will see this aspect of searching for your purpose, understanding why you were created. all those things relate to that connectivity, what you just said. So what you're actually saying, it's so deep. It's so deep. We really need to get connected with God for revelation, deep revelation. Even when I was writing the book, I told the Lord, I said, Lord, open the hearts of people, the readers, to understand this deep revelation, because somebody reading it with just normal senses will not understand the revelation until God himself impact them, open their minds to understand, because it was a revelation the Lord gave me. And until he opened the minds, and that's one of my prayers for all those who grab the copy of my book. I ask the Lord, open their eyes to understand the mystery you revealed to me, because if I was not connected to him, I wouldn't get clarity on that deep revelation. So thank you for reminder. Thank you. You're just unveiling some steps in that book, Healing Storehouse, Unlocking Soul Gate. Wow, I'm more than excited, Doc. It's the conversation is so deep, and people really need to get connected in the spirit to understand what you're talking. And I could relate with what you just said, because when we get connected and searching to know God, he connects us with different mediums in order to fulfill our purpose. And it's because you went searching that he opened doors for you to become who you are today. Wow, it's so deep. If we don't really get connected to get that revelation, we'll not understand. Thank you once more for those clarity. And I just want us to go into what might be holding us back from understanding God, science, and depression. I don't know. Has God forgotten us? Some people ask that question. Why are things happening like this if God exists? You know, what are those practical things that people can do to get help? If somebody asks this kind of questions, like our audience are thinking in their mind, is God really, does God exist? Or if God exists, does it mean he has forgotten us? And the things that might be holding us back from not understanding the mystery between God, science, and depression.
Thank you for that. Also, a very deep question and very informative question. So the answer for me, I've already defined what I like to talk about.
Yes.
I called nature. I think I'm fearful to say God, but just begin to say nature. Has we been abandoned? Why is there so much trouble? Why there is so much confusion? So let me explain it simply, okay? Let's say since when we woke up this morning, all the activities that we've had, okay? We maybe, pray, whatever religious faith you may have. Again, I'm not here to say what is right, what is wrong. No, whatever you are doing. So that's the key. It's like we have 7.6 billion people existing on the globe. Okay, nature allow every one of those people to exist. It must be for a reason. It's not my. I don't have that wisdom and understanding to say what has to exist. What I don't have it. So I'm not going to say. So whatever faith you may have, whatever perception you may have, I'm not here to judge anyone at all. But I'm just saying what we started doing this morning. We may have, wake up and brush our teeth, do whatever we need to do, maybe eat and go this and that. When you look at that timing, all of those activities that we've done just today alone, how many of those decisions that we have made so far did we say, okay, this is my idea to do ABCD today? nature, what is your own idea? What is it that you are telling me to do? How many of those decisions did we say that? And I will bet a lot of it is going to be that, oh, we have the knowledge to do it. So why do we ask how to do it? I just do it. So if you count that number of decisions from when we were born to now that we have taken on our own, based on our own knowledge and understanding, without waiting to align as to why am I here? Every little thing that I do or say, is it aligning to the reason I am here? Am I asking that question? If the statistics, I'm pretty sure is very little, that tells me that nature haven't forgotten us, or God haven't forgotten us. It is we, on the other hand, that have taken it upon ourselves to have all the knowledge and understanding and everything we have answers for. Everything we have answers for. So we have tend to take the whole thing in our own hands. And when we do that, what happens? There are times in we tend to go back and ask, but majority of the time we just take it for granted that we know already, and we go with that assumption. That's thinking, for example, you want to buy a house right now. The first thing you're going to do, look for realtor, look for this, look for that. You do all of the accounting, you do all of that. But sometimes nature doesn't need all of that accounting. It has its own accounting that may not be the same as what the realtor may tell you. Might be opposite. But are we going to follow that? If it is not based on what we already know now, do we follow that? The chances are we may tend to follow what we already have known to be what is right.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. Thank you. My goodness. Oh, God. I really need a replay of this before I will assimilate everything you have spoken. And one really needs to be connected to the King of Kings for him to give deeper clarity on the way he's speaking.
Sure. Let me just add to the global pandemic that is happening or correct right now. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
God on nature is omniscience, omnipresence, correct? Have all the wisdom and understanding, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why are we in doubt? Why are we in confusion? And yet nature has the knowledge and understanding. Why we don't know what happens in the next day or two? Why we don't have that clarity? We can't say for sure this will happen, except we got to guess and say, oh, this. But the wisdom and understanding is not limited. The wisdom and understanding is very clear. So why if all of the decisions that we'll be making has been absolutely right, why are we in this state of confusion? We should not be, because most likely nature is trying to speak to us, and maybe we are not paying attention, not listening, and so allowing certain things to happen. And so here, the other thing too, that is really important also, when I was beginning my scientific career, one of the things that really made a big change, we used to do science and get really upset that science wasn't working and it wasn't disturbed, in my emotion and this. The moment time I recognize that nature doesn't respond to my emotions, it's not my emotion that really get nature to work or science to work. No, none of that. What I have to do was to understand what is it that science was saying. I need to understand that first. What is it there that nature has already put out there? Once I understand that, then now I can use my emotion to modulate, to do that transformation. It's like now we are connected, virtually, on the through video. It wasn't our emotion that said, oh yes, we have to connect to that. No, 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 it didn't happen. No, what we had to do was to understand what were the laws that already have nature have put out there. How do we make this? And then once we understand it, then now we can use it to what we want it to be. But if we put the emotions first, it's like putting the cart before the horse. So one aspect, given that ego, is not easy. The ego of who you are, what you've become, all of the knowledge you've accumulated, that's our ego. Sometimes how do we put that aside and say, no, let me seek first, not my own will or understanding, but what is it out there that is already there? It's not an easy thing.
Absolutely right. I totally agree to you, because sometimes I share with people that, God is not concerned about our emotions. He's concerned about everything that concerns man, but he's not moved by our emotions, because he has principles. And it applies to me. Sometimes when I make mistakes, I go to him, I say, Father, I make mistakes. Sometimes I cry, and I ask, God, are you really seeing this situation? When I was still a baby Christian, I was asking questions like that. Where are you, Daddy? Where are you, Lord? And sometimes I weep. But the time I got deeper and more connected to him, I discovered that he loved me and loved everyone deeply, but he's not moved by our emotions. He's moved by principles. And until we understand that dimension of who he is, it's not like he's not even acting sometimes. Like when I was a baby Christian, I can be in the fire going through it, and I would think like he's dead, he's not seeing it. Sometimes we have those kind of thoughts, it comes to our mind. But as I move to maturity, getting deeper and understanding him, I understand that even in the deepest journey I am, he has given grace to overcome. All I just need is connect with him, seek for solution. And that is what is happening, especially from my own perspective. This COVID, people need to go deeper for clarity as they connect with him. He is the solution. Because we believe in science, of course, but it has failed in this case, whether we accept it or not. That's my own view. Whether I'm not judgment, I'm not telling people to follow my view, but from my own practical stuff, science has failed, and whether they accept it or not, there is confusion everywhere.
So,
like
Coach
today,
Mary,
like today, we celebrated my son, as I told you, we had his birthday, and during that celebration, just getting home, I noticed that tomorrow I can't even go to church. They have changed back the policy to only 20 persons in public gathering. And we were just in the Hoplock, this children place where you can organize parties. I was like, God, you are faithful. It means if we had postponed this party even tomorrow, it wouldn't have been possible, because now they have just changed back. And behold, like in our church, they had programmed that we are going to start our coffee time after service the first Sunday in December. Those were the thoughts, because things were open. But all of a sudden, a decision just came today, and there is no possibility of us even going to church, because the restriction that they thought, like in Finland, I'm talking based in Finland, if you look at the statistics of those vaccinated, it's approximately 80%. But the COVID rate now has just skyrocketed until they have just changed policy. And when all those things come to my mind, I say confusion is even in science. And the truth is, whether we accept it or not, I know the media sometimes don't like to hear the truth. But whether we accept it or not, we need to go to the creator and seek him. And that is where we'll have the solution. Whether the world accept it, they will be playing and playing and playing over it. But those who understand the truth, as they seek the creator, he will give them direction step by step. Whether we accept it or not, that is the truth. Many out there are not saying the truth. Whatever it is, that is not my mission today. My goal is science. God and depression. All I can say is those who want in-depth clarity seek the truth.
Okay.
And that is where they get the solution.
So to stick with our topic,
yeah.
let me also make a clarification. Okay.
Yeah. Well done. I know what
science may not have failed us. The problem is we may not have listened to science.
Okay.
Because, for example, the RNA vaccine that was discovered, and that's what we're using to make the vaccine, and that's what is helping.
Yeah.
That idea came like a decade or more ago. Okay. That idea has been there, and people have been researching on this. But you know what happened? People refused to fund it because they did not recognize it's going to be beneficial. It's only when the COVID happened that they were able to put in a lot of money into that research. So if we were paying attention to science, we may have the solution already. And so the other thing too that is also important to note. Science has been saying over and over, we know very little, okay? But do we accept it? No, no one wants to hear that. We all just want to believe that, yes, we have the solutions to whatever problems that we have. And so that's the thing. So we tend to believe what we want to really believe, even though science may be indicating that, wait a minute here, there is issue here. And so, yes, in certain circles, some people may just think science have all the solution, all the answers. But people that really can see in a deeper sense will admit that, yes, no, I'm telling you, not all of the knowledge we have, this is what we know, this is what we don't know. From that perspective, if we follow science that manner, if we follow nature in that manner, then we'll realize we're not going to be lost. We're going to understand what is happening. That it's not that science may have failed. It's not that nature may have failed. It's just that we may not have been listening to what nature has been saying all along. That yes, there are things we need to do, and how we need to go about doing certain things, we need to do it differently. When do we call in nature and say, okay, I'm doing this debate? Where is this portion that we put nature to be part of that debate? We generally tend to only go by what is going to be beneficial to us in our immediate goals, what is going to fulfill certain short-term benefits. And the long-term sometimes is not really well considered. But here is the limitation too. We don't have the ability for that long-term, far thinking as well. We may have very limited based on the knowledge that we currently have.
Wow.
And just to also indicate, to see how science is connected to depression and God, again, for me, it's like to nature as we may see it.
Yes. For
any scientific discovery to really prosper, okay, the word spiritual is being misconstrued, misused, sometimes used differently in a way that doesn't see the connection between what science is saying, what nature is doing, going deep and understand the wealth of power and knowledge you have as a human being. The brain that we have is so powerful and complex. The problem is not just to have the brain. but it's what you use it for that makes the difference.
Wow. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, Doc. Because, like, even in my book, relating to that, I said, two people can have the same scenario of a situation, and someone interpret it as empowerment, while someone might, that same scenario can strike the person into anxiety, stress, and depression. And all depends on how we interpret the scenario in our brain. So I totally agree to that. And thank you for that clarity, especially on the aspect of science and God, and how man is usually, we are the ones who don't apply and listen to what science might be saying and what God might be revealing. I really totally now get more clarity, because myself, I had that notion as I just shared my own view, but you giving now those details, because you are a scientist, and except you un- unveil like those research had been in the background, but people did not pay attention on it until they were struck. And that's why they came to the realization that, oh, this is relevant. And now panic now comes. And a lot of things which, if they would have gradually followed it. So it means at this point, now I get it clearer. Science and God had unveiled the things, but man failed to apply those things. It is really clear in these things now. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity, because
That, that's why a lot of people, this is a very serious topic. A lot of people have lost their lives and not believing science, saying they're going to do it their own way. And a lot of them, thousands and thousands of people, without recognizing, wait a minute, what are you doing? Science has been saying, nature has been saying this for a long time, but we've not been paying attention. And now we use our emotions to judge science. We use our own limited understanding to say this is that, is that, without opening our understanding and think deepwards and say, wait a minute. There is no way nature will have made us being in existence only to destroy us. No, there was a purpose, but were we connecting to that purpose?
wow, 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 wow. Thank you. Doctor, I don't want to take your whole day. I don't want to take your whole day. I know you have been it has been a busy day. You started with a meeting that we had together, then now getting into this is really very interesting. The questions are many that I don't want to keep the audience also whole day, because it's quite good to follow when it's short. We have exceeded our time, but I just want you to give full clarity, please, before I leave you. I know your time has been really, you have gone so deep, but it's quite interesting, because I have learned a lot from today's session. Personally, I have learned, because there were some doubts that you just spoke that really like gave me confirmation also, and gave me clarity. So I, for one, I have totally benefited. And those who are joining now, I will encourage you to try to watch the replay, share this broadcast. It will empower people with knowledge, because I, for one, there are some things that I've gotten clarity from you, doctor. That's the truth. And I appreciate that, because the way we interpret things really breaks us. Wrong interpretation has caused a lot of people to fall. And that's why knowledge is very relevant. I really appreciate that. But what I would just want to ask as we conclude on this phase of it today, Is the solution to this depression issue, is the solution only for the rich or those that can afford it? Or what is the hope for people who cannot pay for treatment? Especially now I'm referring to those who are depressed already. What can you say about that?
Excellent question. So
Yeah.
here is I told you, I
Mhm.
indicated
Yeah.
that the limited knowledge I may have in the medical field or my past experience
Yeah.
doesn't qualify me to say I understand what science is or what God is. It doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why that is the case is because if the treatment for depression is only for those that are rich,
Hmm.
then we're going to say nature is biased, correct?
Absolutely.
And his nature is not. Again, 7.6 billion of us are existing right now. And the
Hmm.
reason we are existing is for a purpose. What is that purpose? What is it, that purpose that you as an individual, we are made for? Were you made for depression? The answer will be no.
Yes.
But what are information that you have embedded in your mind and making your mind so locked and you're not able to open up and look for a signal that may be leading you to a different path in the way you think? That is really will be very important aspect that I want viewers and listeners to really take home and
Hmm.
think about that over and over and over. And some
Yes.
of the indications that comes to your mind, please, please, please don't just throw it away. Think about it over and over. Go over this if you can. Go over what we've talked about. They are giving certain key aspect that if you can only connect with your mind
Hmm.
and take those, I have little doubt in my mind that you're going to see transformation in your mind or in your life that you've never seen before. 100% guaranteed. So go back and look at the things that we've talked about. Again, for me, knowing the power of nature doesn't need me to do help you at all. Nature can help you independently of what I tell you or not, independently. At the same time, it can use these words to really energize your thinking and begin to open up those new pathways that have been closed. Open them up,
Yeah.
and you're going to see solutions that you never thought were possible. If you think you need to talk, I have very limited time. Obviously, yeah, I can. I wrote a book recently, interpersonal relationship, just finding and give us like a blueprint as to how we can connect with one another from a very depressed or from a very difficult situation, and that has been is functional not only in the planet in the continent you are, but it's applicable to any individual on the globe. Again, nature allows every one of us to be in this globe. There are solutions that are universal and not just for the rich, but for every individual that exists on the planet.
Wow. Doctor, please, the last thing, you wrote a powerful book. I just want you to just tell the audience, because the knowledge you have dished out is really rich. And for people to understand what you have just displayed now, can you just give us briefly on your book? And how can people access your book? I know at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to share the link to your book so that people can access it and be able to digest what you wrote there, because the material are really rich, very rich. I will tell you, if you follow this broadcast, you will know that the book contains a lot. Can you just tell the audience a little bit about your book so that people can easily rush and access that knowledge? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. So sometimes I hesitate to talk about book because people think, oh, they just want me to buy a book. No, no, no. That for me, that's not the purpose at all. It's just transferring information that I know can benefit every individual that really applies themselves to it, because it is about what already is existing for us to grasp. The wealth, the knowledge, the joy, the happiness, the tranquility that is already in existence already all around us. But we're not able to connect to that. And so that's what the book is trying to get at. No matter what state of mind you might be, it really takes you from where you are and really guide you in a way for you to make the conclusions yourself, not what I am telling you. Again, my knowledge is limited, but it's for you to be able to connect with your individual neural pathways and power that you already have and connect with that to why you are in existence. And people have seen the tremendous power that book have really unfolded in their lives. And it's on Amazon. You go in and get a copy if you can. And the steps are there. There are 8 steps that I've talked about that really lays it step by step. And these are not difficult things. These are things that we are doing already. It's just we are now aligning those things to the purpose and direction that you have been made to exist on the planet. That's just what it does. It's just aligning you, giving that alignment, and it's not taking you away from what you're doing. It's taking you exactly where you are and lead you to only you or where you are made, and that uniqueness that leads you to that. So there's not just one solution to every problem, but there are indication as to what gives you that solution to whatever problem or state you might be. So that's what is a baby step that is amenable to everyone.
Wow. Thank you once more, Dr. Robert, for this time. I have learned a lot. Thank you for staying tuned. I'm thanking all the audience for your time. And I know none of you went without benefiting a lot. I'll quickly share the link to his Amazon link, Dr. Robert's Amazon link, for people who want to understand and get deep knowledge. It's a transformational book. If you check the reviews on Amazon, you will attest to what I just said. It's a transformational book, and anyone desiring for a change, anyone desiring for knowledge, I will encourage you to order that book. It will transform not only you, it will transform those around you, because as your story gonna change, it will impact your loved ones, it will impact your colleagues, it will impact those around you. So knowledge is not something to joke with. It has not great impact only on you, it has really great impact on those around you too. Thank you, Dr. Robert, for this session. My goodness, it's been a long session, but it looks like it has just been half an hour. I can't believe that we took already an hour, 30 minutes. My goodness, my God. But I just want to really appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for these great moments. I really appreciate it. And I will quickly share. Those who want to connect to Dr. Robert, he has his LinkedIn page. You can connect through LinkedIn or connect through Facebook. He have different areas from his book also. If you want to personally ask, because I have not seen any question yet, but any question that comes up quickly, you can connect to me. I'm gonna relate it to Dr. Robert, or if you're connected, as I said, you can find him on LinkedIn, you can find him on Facebook and other social medias, of course, but those two, you can always find him. And thank you once more, Dr. Robert. I don't know whether you have anything to add before we end the session now, but I really appreciate your time. I appreciate a busy day like Saturday. You starting this is a lot of sacrifice for humanity. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for this rich piece. Thank you. I am indeed blessed. I appreciate it. I really appreciate your efforts. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, my closing departing statement is to really thank the audience and
Yeah.
people that will be watching this again.
Mhm.
How deeply I am grateful in my heart that we have the opportunity of talking to them and they're listening. And I am confident in my own mind that every one of them will benefit something, not because of what I say, but because of why they were made and are existing on the planet.
Thank you once more, Dr. Robert. Thank you for your time. And thank you, as you rightly said, we thank the audience. Those who just log in, may they go for a replay because you cannot really follow the discussion at the end. But if you follow it from the beginning, the chronology of it, you will understand deeper and deeper and deeper. It's so deep. You can just take your time, read it, and any inquiries, anything where you need questions and or clarity, you can contact me or contact Dr. Robert. Thank you once more. I appreciate everything you did. Thank you, and have a wonderful and blessed Saturday. Since it's quite early, about 10:30. Enjoy your weekend, Doctor. We appreciate you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
once more. I will share your link so that people can connect to your book at Amazon and also those who want to connect with you. Thank you, Doctor. Have a blessed and wonderful day. God bless you. Wow. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for logging in. If you have not shared this, share because the knowledge was so deep. And I'm going to share Dr. Robert's link also for those who want to order his book on Amazon. It's there. And when you order the book and you are empowered, quickly write a review because the book is a transformational book. And those who have not yet ordered Healing Storehouse, Unlocking Soul Gate, a lot of rich content that Pastor Robert was relating, it's also connected to that book. So if you have not yet placed an order, just quickly type my name in any of the Amazon store. You're gonna find Healing Storehouse Unlocking Soul Gate. It's available in the ebook and also the paperback form. Thanks and have a wonderful weekend. God bless you all. Thanks for always supporting us. Healing Storehouse wishes you a wonderful and blessed weekend. See you next week if God tarries. Bye. Have a wonderful Saturday. It's already late here in Finland. Bye.